So I'm going to touch it right in here to the top. And just pick it up right before the edge. Oh, that's gorgeous! Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm very excited about today's pour. I'm going to do a butterfly. This is going to be a 2-layer pour with a background and then a butterfly added on top. So a couple months ago, I did a collaboration with Claire Calvert from the channel Rainbow Acrylics by Claire. We both did birds. I did a microswipe kingfisher. And so she saw it and was like, oh my goodness, I need to try doing some microswipes. So then she did several. And usually when I do a microswipe, I start with like a tape stencil on the front edge and I swipe back into the color. But she made her stencils kind of all the way around. So as she swiped it, it was like a completely contained shape. And I thought, why have I never tried that before? So I want to do that with a butterfly so that it's got the beautifully dynamic, lacy center, but it's got nice, clean outer edges. So I'm very, very excited to try this. I'm doing a Ulysses Swallowtail, which is this gorgeous big butterfly with black edges and this bright blue center. So that'll be really fun. And instead of just doing it on a white background, I'm going to pour a green background using a straight pour technique to make hopefully this nice, interesting, something that looks like a jungle or a bush or a garden or something, so that it's not just a butterfly, it's a butterfly in its habitat. So I have a whole bunch of green colors here, ranging from olive green and dark green to like gray green and bright green and metallic green. And I'm hoping that by using a whole bunch of colors, it's going to make a nice dynamic green color instead of just kind of one shade. You know, if you use all sort of bluish green or all sort of yellowish green, you know, it's not always as interesting as if you mix them. So for a straight pour, I don't know if it's going to be a like straight to the middle straight pour or kind of a wandering straight pour. I really don't know yet. I'm just going to figure that out as I go. But for a straight pour, it's a stacked cup. So I'm going to use this because it's a 20 by 20 inch canvas, needs a lot of paint. So layers, there's no silicone oil. Usually it produces lots of wonderful natural cells, partly because it is mixed with Floetrol, which helps make the mixture more reactive. But also there's some other things that you can use in a straight pour to make cells more likely to form. So house paint, semi-gloss house paint is one of the things that can often produce lots of those sort of cloud and pearl effects. Like all of this is all because of house paint in the mixture. Metallics can also really help give you some cells. And Deco Art Satin Enamels paints can also help with that. So I've got one of those here. This one is a house paint. It's white house paint that I added some colors to make this lovely green color. And so usually my white would be my house paint. But this is, if you watched my painting with my son Elliot, where we did the splat cup pour, the white was very reactive and it made all kinds of cells, and I thought I'll just use that. So this is Apple Barrel, which is a cheap craft paint, mixed with Creative Inspirations, which is more of a student quality tube paint. So the two of those mixed together apparently makes this wonderfully reactive paint. So I think I've got plenty of ingredients that will play well together. And then I also have a bunch of this. This is from my Kingfisher swipe. This was my background color. I made so much of it. So I may use some of that in the cup, or I may just kind of use it as a flow extender. I'm not sure. But those are my colors. That's my technique. Let's make a painting. So let's start by layering up my cup here. And so I'm going to be making layers, lots of small layers. It's a big canvas. I don't want particularly like the really bright green. I don't want huge pockets of that. So whenever I add the really brighter colors, it's going to be sort of small layers. some of the more standard colors like the olive or this dark green, I may add bigger layers just because I want to have more of that. Same with this. This, if you watched my north, south, east, west painting, you saw that the satin enamels paints really took over my the straight pour that I did for the north section. So I'm using very small amounts of this at a time instead of large amounts because I don't want it to completely dominate the pour. But I do like it as a color and I want to have it in there. All right, let's have some of this. So I'm just going to be adding these colors in sort of at random, no set order. I'm just layering them up based on what I think will look good next to what. Because you want to have plenty of contrast between one color and another. And then I do have one brown. This is a metallic bronze. Just so that it's not all green. This dark green color seems to be stacking well this time. I used dark green in, oh yeah, it was in Elliot's flat cup pour again, and it faded, like it sank down so much, and I think it was because its density is higher than the other colors and so it was kind of sinking. So I actually mixed it with another green, which I know has a much lighter density, and then I added black to bring it back down so it was still dark, and it seems to be working because it isn't sinking under my other colors, so that's good. I think I'm going to call that finished. Look how pretty that is. Oh, that is a gorgeous cup of mixed paint. Those rings are so pretty. The white paint was slightly denser and has sunk a bit. Hopefully it'll still pop up in little pockets. We'll see. I'm not counting on the white to be really present. I just want something to add some lightness to the pour, but we've got some light green, so I think it'll be fine regardless. Before I start pouring, I think I'm going to make sort of a puddle of this in the middle. Which I will pour my cup down sort of into and over top. It's something that Sarah Mack does a lot with her pours. She does white and then she pours her cup right into it. That way it just adds a bit more volume to the pour, and then these have something to mix with and blend with as soon as they hit the canvas. All right, this will be fun. Let's pour. Okay, here we go. Well, that's cool. So I do see some white. It didn't all vanish. That's good. I think this will be plenty of paint. I'm going to torch it, and then I'm going to put some tape around a couple of the sides so that as I'm stretching it, as I'm tilting it out, I can make sure that the design covers the entire canvas before I lose too much of it off of the sides. I'm not seeing tons of cell reaction, which is interesting, but I think as I open it up, the layers will it'll develop. And it looks very interesting. It looks very jungly, so I'm happy. All right, let me just add tape around. Because I think I have plenty of paint here, but just in case I don't want to lose a lot as I'm stretching. Okay, let's tilt. That is so pretty. And I can start stretching it the other direction. I'm going to bring it this way. I don't love this sort of square line, so I just want to tilt it back this way a bit first. Just really slowly. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So this side right here is a lot more boring, so I'm going to send a lot of the paint down that direction. That is so pretty. There's not all that many cells. There are some soft cells that have come up, but overall it's just this wonderfully textured, multicolored, very earthy background. It's going to be perfect. Let me clean off my hands really quick. I'm so happy with this. I'm going to torch it again, see if I can bring up anything else, though at this point it's mostly popping bubbles instead of creating cells, but never hurts. I don't think there's anything more I want to do with this at this point, so let me give you a close-up. So I'm not sure exactly which side is going to be up. One of the great things about painting on a square is that you can decide about the orientation after you've painted it. But let me just show you how cool this looks. So these layers here, they're really soft, very cloudy. So they're not super crisp, but I like that. I like this sort of channel that runs up and through with bits of white and that copper peeking out. These giant copper areas are really cool. And then up here, this is a kind of a crazy section. So I'm not sure if this is going to be like a plant that the butterfly is sitting on, or if it's going to be up above. I don't know. And then this is the section that was more dull. So we've just pushed a lot of that color off of the edge. So I think this balances really nicely, and I can't wait to move on to the next step. Okay, I'm back. So this base layer has been dry for about 2 weeks now because I didn't want to paint on top of it too fast. And I have made my tape stencil, and the video that I have on how I make my tape stencils using either blue or green tape and kitchen parchment paper, you can find that here or in the video description box. So I've got this beautiful Ulysses Swallowtail shape all laid out. Unfortunately, I'm going to be painting on top of some of the prettiest parts of the background, but that's how this goes. It's a background, not a finished piece by itself. But yeah, oh, so pretty. I mean, the copper, this is going to spill now. The metallic copper is really shiny, gorgeous. Love it. Love all the details. Can't wait to put this butterfly on top. So I have several colors here. These three were leftover colors and they already have silicone oil in them. Then these three were also leftover cups of paint that I had. They do not have silicone in them. You don't need silicone in every single color. You just need to have it in some of the ones, especially the ones close to the front of the swipe. And then that oil will travel across the other colors and will help bring up some cells. My background is going to be black because a Ulysses Swallowtail all around the edges of the butterfly is black. Beautiful. So I'm going to have black be the base color, and then I will swipe the blue into it. That way we'll still get those kind of wispy effects that I love about a micro swipe, but we'll get the nice clean black edge all around. So let's layer up our colors, and I think this one, this is Caribbean. I think this is probably the closest to what a Ulysses Swallowtail actually is, because I have various blues, teals, turquoises, but I think this one is going to be the closest. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle. And I want a large enough band of it that it'll spread easily. And I'm going to bring it down over top of this section of green here to make it easier to swipe these bottom sections. But actually, I was just remembering, I want to have a bit of black up here right at the top. Because there's black edge along the top of the wings, I want sort of the beginning color of the swipe right there at the top to be black. And that will help make that black edge all across. Let's see, so that one had silicone, so that's great. Let's do just a blue. Okay, so that's all the colors. I want some more of this Caribbean here up near the top because I don't have a lot of paint up there. All right, that's probably plenty of color because we don't have to travel very far. Okay, next we need to add the black base around the edges. So I'm just going to spread it, get it all the way to the edge of my tape. By the way, I did not paint over the edge of this tape, because I've had really good results with frog tape when I just use a hairdryer to warm it up and then rub it really well to like really make it adhere to the canvas. So I didn't paint over the edge, and I'm hoping that I'll get a great seal. Looking cool, looking really promising. So I don't have it quite touching my colors. I'll just do that with my finger. Didn't want to get my palette knife all messy and then spread the blue into all of the black. So I made a couple marks here. This is where sort of the top wing is separated from the bottom wing, just in case I want to play around with making some kind of line to show the distinction there. I don't know if I am, but I wanted to have some reference points just in case. Alright, so I've got my little plastic swipers that I always use for micro swipes. I think I'm mostly going to be using the small one just because this is a small space, but I have this sort of medium one in case I need it. Okay, let me start with a top one and just see how that goes, and then depending on how that goes, we'll see how I lay out the other ones. So I'm going to touch it right in here to the top. And just pick it up right before the edge. Oh, that's gorgeous! Oh, those colors are amazing. And just fading into the black. That makes me so happy. Before I come back to the middle here, I'm going to swipe from in here, and then I'll come in. I don't know if that makes sense. So now I'm going to come back here to the middle and swipe, and that will overlap with the one that I just did. Beautiful. Man, I really like the metallic teal in there. It's adding a nice sort of dark pop that I love. Yeah. And another one here from the middle to kind of overlap. I'm loving this. I love all the colors. Perfect blend. Before I do this, I need like one last swipe to finish up the top wing. But before I do that, I want to do the bottom wing so that the top swipe of the top wing is on top of the bottom wing. If that makes any sense, hopefully it does. Okay, well, I don't know what kind of definition I have there between the top wing and the bottom wing. I don't know that I have much. I may add some with a brush later. For right now, I'm really happy with this. This detail in here is incredible. Now I'm going to flip the whole thing around because I am better at swiping from left to right than from right to left. And now I'm just trying to match, you know, the length of everything. And the intensity, and this one got a lot more of the metallic teal in it. So I'm going to have to cover that up. Not that I don't like the metallic teal, I love it. But because it isn't strong on this side, I don't want it strong on that side. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. Let me flip it around so that I can see how it looks. Dripped just a little bit here along the edges. Don't want that. This is so cool. So there is this one pocket right here where it grabbed, I think it was the sea mist, and it's much lighter. I have another one up there. I don't know. Maybe I should just leave them as... It's not totally balanced, but it does make it a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I think this one, I want to swipe it with just a little bit of paper towel. So I'm going to dip it into my sort of leading edge color and just swipe through that a little bit. So it's not quite so noticeable as its own patch. Yeah, I like that better. I don't think I need to change this one. That's white, actually. And that's fine. Oh man, I can't wait to show this to you guys. And I can't wait to add, like, pull up the tape and add the details, but even right now it's looking so amazing. But before I do that, I'm going to wisp out, sort of break through some of these edges. Give it that nice, distinctive micro swipe look. Oh, I have a gigantic blob here. Yikes! Good thing I was doing this part, otherwise I would have had major texture. I love that! I don't think there's anything else that I want to do, so let me give you a close-up. How cool is this? So let's take you in because this detail is just incredible. Look at all those bubbles, multicolored cells. And then it just wisps its way into the black, but leaving a nice black edge. So I love that. And I even got some black edge here on the top. Look how lacy that is. I love that. That's what's cool about using a lot of different colors. Even if you want basically one color, you can still get all of that intricate textural kind of details just from using multiple colors. Alright, so there in the middle where it's just that plain Caribbean color, I will be brush painting a body. But for time's sake, I'm just going to skip to the end and show you how it looks when it's all finished. By the way, did you know that this painting video is now part of another mini collab? Yes, that is right. Claire and I just can't stop ourselves from doing collaboration after collaboration, so she is also painting a butterfly. She's doing chameleon cells for hers, and it's turned out so cool. So be sure to click the link that's in the video description box and check out her butterfly. Okay, here it is. Oh guys, it's so cool! So here are the brush painted details that I added. I started with just a simple black body, head, and antennae, and then I added a little bit of metallic teal to it to make it look more of that greenish shade, and then added some detail to the eyes as well. Then you'll see a bit of shading that I did right here next to the wings, and I added this line plus a bit of shading underneath to make it look more three-dimensional. But look at that! You see the metallics shining? It's so amazing. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at that perfectly clean line. So this was frog tape. I did not paint over the edge of the tape, but I did use a hairdryer to warm it up and then just rubbed it really well to make sure it was stuck really well onto the painted surface, and it's turned out incredible. I just love that color blend. Love how it fades into the black, leaving that perfect black border. And then of course the background looks really cool as well. Very dynamic and interesting. It's a nice spot for this butterfly to be hanging out, so I love it so much. Let me know down in the comments, what did you guys think? And do you like my micro swipes better when it's done as a profile or done like this, where it's all contained in one stencil? Technically, this was more like my octopus swipe because it was all contained, but It was sort of a mix of the two styles. Make sure you go check out Claire's butterfly. I can't wait to see that video. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this butterfly project. I hope it inspired you to try something new, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!